Another embarrassing performance from Manchester City. What does all that mean with regards to where we stand in this competition? Well, for PSG, 3 important points for them. Takes them up to 22nd. Not guaranteed a place in the knockout stages, but very much looking better than they did, of course, when they were 2-0 down. For Manchester City, they take on Club Brugge on the final match day, which is next Wednesday. If they win that, they're through. If they don't, they are out. Right then, here we go, Craig. Another Manchester City blow-up in the second half.
There's not a team in that table that couldn't beat City at the moment. It's that simple. They're an embarrassment. They've become an embarrassment as a shape. They can't defend. They lost 4 in the second half. They're 2-0 up again. Again in the leading possession, comfortable possession. They lose 4. Could have lost, what, 6?
Yeah, and that's not an exaggeration.
Could have lost 6 in the second half. So they can't defend, but what's noticeable as well, they cannot close anybody down in the middle of the park. Every team, you saw that possession, 37% Man City. When did we see that? You know, we might see a 50-50, 52-48, 37%. All right, PSG do possess the ball, but it's poor, very poor.
It's the 9th time this season they've lost from a winning position. It's an incredible statistic for a team that is so full of experience and so accomplished.
It's an incredible statistic for any team. Never mind the team that we have come to recognize and admire and watch and analyze and said, look how much they're able to control the game. Over the years, that has been their strength, their ability to control games through the quality of their possession and the quality of the possession that they can have through the midfield, the quality of possession that they can have into the attacking half. And so that's why, even when they were struggling defensively in years past, we were willing to overlook all of that because, look, they're not losing the ball. They're attacking. They are mandating how the game is going to be played because of their own quality. That quality comes with confidence. Well, that confidence is gone. The quality is gone. The possession is gone. Never, ever, ever would you think, to your point, that Manchester City would be in a 37%. How is that important for Manchester City? Because sometimes possession numbers you can make over what you will. But for Manchester City, it's critical because that means they're not in control of the game. And if they're not in control of the game, that means that they're defending and defending in transition. And if they're defending in transition, let me just tell you, anybody can run around Manchester City. And then there's attention to details, which they do not have. If you're not a good team defensively, if you cannot close down the space, at the very least, get yourself in a structure in which you can get numbers behind the ball. Even when they have numbers behind the ball, you can still find spaces because they won't tackle. They won't tackle. They will not win challenges. They will not win in 50-50 balls. They will not win in set pieces. It's not a surprise anymore. This is who they are, and it's truly, truly concerning. And in fact, surprising, even as we've been seeing it. We've been seeing it, right? Yep. So it shouldn't be surprising. And yet you see it again, you go, no, 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 and it continues to happen.
They're scared to press the ball now.
Yeah.
They're scared to press it. And they probably can't press it as well as they once were able to do because of the lack of legs, but they're scared to. Because if they go on that full-court press, they get played around so easy. So they've sort of changed the way they go about it by dropping back an extra 20 yards.
Right.
They should have been, or they used to go to Parc des Princes against PSG, and they would be squeezed right up to the PSG penalty box. The defenders would be on the halfway line, and they would say to PSG, go on, try your luck, play out, try and play through us. They don't do that now. They just allow teams, I have to say, easy possession of the ball. I know PSG have got some good passers in there. João Neves, Vitinha, blah, blah, blah. But they're allowed easy possession of the ball. And that's why it was surprising in the first half that PSG didn't go for the jugular a bit more, particularly down the left side.
What does this tell us about Pep Guardiola? Because if we can all see it happening, why isn't he addressing it?
Yeah, and so to the point that Craig is making in terms of the fact that they're not able to press the way that they once did. So as a manager, there's got to be a recognition. We're seeing it, right? We're seeing it, and we're thousands and thousands of miles away. And we continue to see it happen, and yet there's been zero adjustment. So, look, if you cannot go press it, then don't go press.
Right.
Don't. Why do something that you're not capable of doing? So then sit a little deeper. Yeah, give the ball to PSG, but sit a little deeper so that you have control of the game, so that at the very least you have things in front of you. But right now, what they're trying to do is be the team that they once were without being that team any longer. And they're in between. They're neither pressing nor sitting back. And when you're in between, you're nowhere. That's why you have the easy possession that Craig is talking about. Why can you play through a team that easily? Because they're not close enough to press you and win the ball back, but they're not far enough here to where they're closing down spaces and condensing the space. And so basically, you're in between. I can squeeze the ball past you, pass you, pass you. One pass eliminates 3 guys. We're gone. And now transition. And in transition, we know, even at their base, they struggle. Right now, they're obviously struggling. So what does it tell us about Pep Guardiola? He obviously recognizes this. Has to. He has to recognize this, but chooses not to adjust to it. Chooses to believe in what he does and his players have done and will not change. If he were going to change, if that was going to happen, it would have happened 2 months ago. That's when he needed to change. Now he's just saying, this is who we are. We're all in with what we're doing, and I don't care. This is the way we're going to play. And that is foolish.
This era's over, isn't it? It didn't take this game to find out.
No, and it was a false dawn being
the era of De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva.
Bernardo Silva, by the way, today.
Gundogan, who's gone back there, a poorer player, an older player. The days of them bossing these really big games on a weekly basis are over. Kevin De Bruyne he can still whip a cross in, can still see a pass and maybe play a pass, but he's not getting around the field like he was. We're not seeing Bernardo Silva getting on the ball and jinking around and picking a pass or even scoring a goal and getting into the back post. It's Walker's on his way to Italy. You know, all these things. There's still good players there.
Foden falling over at the edge of the box.
You know, Jack Grealish, he's come in, he's got himself a goal, but he's been off form. Phil Foden's been off form, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. They still have some good players, but the guys that have really carried this juggernaut for 5 or 6 years in the current crop, they're all at the end of their lifespan in terms of playing at this level, and certainly playing in the Premier League. We've seen it in the Premier League, going for the title. Yeah, they'll wallop, you know, the Ipswiches and Southamptons and blah, 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 but against a, what would we say, average PSG side?
Yes.
They could have got battered tonight.
Yeah, an average PSG side who needed this today, obviously, as we spoke before, and they're 2-0 down. You've got to give them credit for the character they show.
Well, yes. It would have been very easy if you're PSG, and I imagine that stadium got a little nervy and the anxiety, and you can feel it as a player. And yet what we saw from PSG is we're going to keep going forward. We're going to show some character. We're going to show some personality. We're going to show a plan. This is how we're going to go about it. And when we have isolation with Barcola on one side and Dembele on the other side, we know that we can exploit the outside back from Manchester City. And we can get after those players. And we can take advantage of those 1v1 situations. And we're going to force Manchester City to defend, because just like we know, they know that Manchester City simply cannot defend. And you have to give credit to Luis Enrique in that he recognized where the mismatches were and said, you know what? Dembele, come out here. I don't know why he wasn't starting to begin with, right? But when he came on the field, when he came on the field and started running by people, it's like they weren't even there. You mentioned Bernardo Silva, the one in which he hits the crossbar. He goes through the legs of Bernardo Silva. Barcola, how does the first goal come about? Well, it's because Barcola is able to get around Mateus Nunes, who I don't know why he's playing right back. I guess there are no other options, but my goodness, there's got to be a better option than Mateus Nunes playing right back if you're Manchester City. Regardless, if you're PSG, you know where the weak points are for Manchester City. And they went after those weak points and exposed them time and time again.
Yeah, and they did good. They did great. The last 20 minutes, PSG, there was only one team in it. Are you okay?
You all right? I'm getting emotional.
Got me cough back. Yeah, I mean, it was... And they mentioned it on commentary. From the second goal going in, the Haaland goal, it was just wave after wave after wave of PSG attack. And they finally realised that you can, if you go at this City side, there'll be lots of chances. And there was. Yeah. And they were so open. But I think the free kick that City lost, I think, summed them up.
That's the third goal.
The João Neves, set piece, the header. It just told you all you needed to know about this current City state of mind. Disarray. How can you leave a guy, whether he's 5'8", 5'9", or 6'2", it doesn't matter. How can you leave him with 10 yards of space around the back post? It smells of lacking responsibility. But that's no big surprise. And we talked about it yesterday. We felt if PSG had the nous to get at this City side, they could win.
Yeah.
Because as I said at the top of the show, maybe the bottom 3 or 4 in that table, maybe not them, maybe bottom half dozen. But I do mean it that most others could beat City.
Will they beat Club Brugge?
No guarantee. Absolutely. Club Brugge are above them. All right, and albeit.
Drew against Juventus yesterday.
And so they'll go to the Etihad and they'll say they'll absolutely fancy their chances of creating chances. Now, City could wallop them, of course, on a given day. Haaland gets a hat-trick or whatever. But you're not frightened as Club Brugge, are you?
No.
You know, you're not frightened to go there and say, tell you what, we could knock this, we could, shove this City side out of the Champions League. So now, if you said to me now, are City favourites in that game, I'd probably give them an edge. But it wouldn't be a surprise to me if Club Brugge were to win. And I kind of think that's where Man City is. And
even if they do win it, you think, well, where do they go next?
They're going to get, well, in their current, the way they're playing at the moment, their shape, they are ripe for a walloping off one of the form sides in this competition. And that's where they are. So they probably will get through, they may get through, but they haven't got a hope in hell currently of winning this competition. Not a snowball's chance.
You just mentioned frightened, and we're talking about it from the perspective of Club Brugge. How about Manchester City?
Yeah.
Are they frightened?
In front of the home fans, nervous.
Anxiety. And we've already seen in that stadium this season how it gets uncomfortable for the fans and for the players. You sense that negative energy. You sense that negative energy that is coming from the field and that negative energy that is coming from the crowd. And that stadium has gotten afraid. And these players, now you have to say, the way that they reacted today in being up to nothing, afraid. Which is, it's difficult to say about Manchester City, but we have to come to terms with it. Today, when it came down to it, and it was an opportunity to gain control of the game, to actually show a personality, they got real small and real tight and real afraid. And that is a characteristic of a team that doesn't know how to get themselves out of trouble. That winning against Ipswich was just like, a chance to breathe, but nothing else, nothing more. There is no real substance right now to Manchester City, and it is obvious to see. So when we talk about fear, there's a lot to gain for Club Brugge and a whole lot more to lose for Manchester City.
Didn't he say they were back after the City game?
Yes.
Which is a bit of a statement, isn't it?
After the Ipswich game.
After the Ipswich game,
yes.
sorry. We're back. We're back, and we were like, well, hold on.
Yeah.
We got a better gauge.
Let's see. And it's a really rough run of fixtures they've got now, not only, of course, Club Brugge, but also in the Premier League as well.